The fluorescent hospital lights made everything look like death, but I wasn't prepared for how dead I'd feel walking through those sliding doors. My name is Cynthia, and 12 hours ago I thought I knew exactly who I was. Reed's wife, his business partner, the woman who built our empire alongside him, brick by brick, deal by deal. Now I'm standing in a sterile hallway, clutching my purse like it's the only thing keeping me upright, while a nurse tells me my husband doesn't remember me. Mrs. Howard? The nurse's voice was gentle, but her eyes held that look, the one that says she's about to deliver news that'll gut you. Your husband is awake, but I need to prepare you. The head trauma has caused significant memory loss. I pushed past her. Reed was alive. That's all that mattered. Everything else we could figure out. But when I reached his room, I stopped cold. She was already there. Willow sat beside Reed's bed like she belonged there, her perfectly manicured hand resting on his arm. Her long black hair cascaded over her shoulder as she leaned in close, whispering something that made him smile. That same crooked smile I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. Reed? My voice cracked. He looked up, and for a split second, I saw confusion flicker across his face, then nothing. Blank recognition, like I was a stranger who'd wandered into the wrong room. I'm sorry, do I know you? His voice was hoarse but polite. Polite? To me? Reed, it's me. It's Cynthia. Your wife. Willow's grip tightened on his arm. Honey, you're confused. This is... She looked at me with mock sympathy. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. I'm his wife. The words came out sharper than I intended. That's impossible. The voice behind me was ice cold and familiar. Sonia Howard, Reed's mother, stepped into the room like she owned it, which, apparently, she thought she did. My son's girlfriend is right here. Girlfriend? I spun around. Sonia, what the hell is going on? Reed and I have been married for 6 years. We own 3 businesses together. We have a house in... You have nothing. Sonia's voice cut through my words like a blade. My son doesn't know you. He's made it very clear that Willow is the woman he loves. Reed was staring at me with that same polite confusion, but something flickered behind his eyes. A shadow of recognition that was there and gone so fast I almost missed it. The bracelet, he said suddenly, his voice uncertain. Silver bracelet. My heart jumped. The silver bracelet he'd given me on our wedding night. I reached for my wrist instinctively, but I left it at home in my rush to get to the hospital. What bracelet, baby? Willow's voice was honey sweet, but I caught the sharp edge underneath. Reed blinked, the moment passing. Nothing. I thought I remembered something. The doctor said this might happen, Sonia said, moving to Reed's other side. False memories, confusion. It's why we need to keep his environment stable. She looked directly at me. And familiar. I am familiar. I'm his wife. Not anymore. Sonia pulled an envelope from her purse and held it out to me. These are divorce papers. Reed signed them this morning. The world tilted. He signed them? He doesn't even remember me? How could he? He remembered enough to know he didn't want to be married to you. Willow's mask slipped for just a second, revealing something ugly underneath. He said it felt wrong, like he was trapped. I looked at Reed, searching his face for any sign of the man who used to whisper my name in the dark, who built our life with me, who'd promised me forever. But he was looking at Willow like she was his anchor in a storm. Reed, please. Think. Our first apartment. The way you used to make coffee in that terrible little kitchen. The night we signed the papers for our first business loan. You were so nervous you spilled wine on your shirt. Nothing. Not even a flicker. Ma'am, I think you should go. A security guard had appeared in the doorway. Sonia must have called him. This is insane. I'm his wife. I have rights. You have nothing, Sonia repeated. Take the papers. Sign them. Disappear. As the security guard escorted me out, I heard Willow's voice, soft and victorious. Don't worry, baby. She's gone now. It's just us. I stood in the parking lot, divorce papers crumpled in my shaking hands, and felt something cold settle in my chest. They thought they'd won. They thought they'd erased me. But they'd forgotten one crucial thing. I may be out of their sight, but I'm never out of the game. 3 days before Reed's accident, I'd done something that would either save me or destroy me completely. Cynthia, you look like hell. Ivy pushed a steaming mug of coffee across her kitchen table. My best friend since college had always been brutally honest, which is exactly what I needed right now. I feel like hell. I wrapped my hands around the mug, letting the warmth seep into my fingers. Ivy, I need to tell you something about the night Reed crashed. She leaned forward, her dark eyes serious. What happened? I found out about Willow 3 days before the accident. Reed left his phone on the counter, and it kept buzzing, text after text. I pulled out my own phone, scrolling to the screenshots I'd taken. Look at this. Ivy read over the messages, her expression growing darker with each swipe. Jesus, Cynthia. Can't wait to be free of her. Soon we won't have to hide anymore. It gets worse. Look at this one. I pointed to a message that still made my stomach turn. Once I figure out how to get her out of the business accounts, we can finally start our real life together. That bastard. Ivy's voice was flat. So what did you do? I did what any woman would do when she realizes her husband is planning to steal everything she's worked for. I met her eyes. I locked him out first. The night I discovered Reed's betrayal, I'd sat in our home office until 3 a.m., systematically changing every password, every security protocol, every access point to our joint accounts. But the real masterstroke was the trust fund, Reed's family money that we'd restructured when we got married. I changed the security question, I told Ivy, the one that controls access to the entire Howard family trust, $23 million, all locked behind one question that only Reed and I know the answer to. Ivy's eyebrows shot up. What's the question? What did you whisper to me when you gave me the silver bracelet? I smiled grimly. Our wedding night. He gave me this antique silver bracelet that belonged to his grandmother, and he whispered something in my ear. Something private. Something he'd never tell anyone else. And the answer? You're my forever secret. The words tasted bitter now. He said it was our code phrase, that whenever one of us said it, the other would know we were thinking about that perfect moment. Ivy was quiet for a long moment. Cynthia, that's brilliant and terrifying. The accident happened the next day. I never got the chance to confront him. I took a shaky sip of coffee. But now they're all scrambling, trying to figure out why they can't access any of the money. My phone buzzed. A text from Alyssa, the intern at our company who'd always been loyal to me rather than the Howard family politics. They're freaking out, I read aloud. Sonia's been on the phone with the bank for 2 hours. Harrison keeps pacing around the office muttering about that woman and her tricks. Ivy grinned. I love this girl already. Alyssa's been my eyes and ears since they kicked me out. She's risking her job, but she says she can't stand watching them celebrate while I gestured at myself, still in the same clothes I'd worn to the hospital 3 days ago. While you're planning their downfall? While I'm surviving. My phone rang. Alyssa's name flashed on the screen. Cynthia? Her voice was hushed, urgent. You need to know what just happened. Sonia called an emergency meeting with Gordon, the family lawyer. They're trying to find a way around your security lockout. What did Gordon say? He looked uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. He kept saying something about proper protocols and legal implications. But Sonia was pushing hard. She mentioned something about Reed's medical condition giving them grounds to override his previous decisions. Ice formed in my stomach. They're going to try to have him declared incompetent. That's what I'm thinking. Gordon left looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, but Sonia was smiling when he walked out. I looked at Ivy, who'd been listening to every word. She was already pulling out her laptop. What are you doing? I asked. Research. If they want to play legal games, We need to know the rules better than they do. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Plus, I might know a guy who can help us monitor their communications. Ivy, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm volunteering. She looked up from her screen. Reed was my friend too before he became a cheating piece of garbage. And Sonia? She's had this coming for years. Alyssa's voice crackled through the phone. There's something else. They're meeting with Gordon again tomorrow morning. Sonia seemed really confident when she scheduled it. Can you find out what they're planning? I'll try, but Cynthia, be careful. Harrison was asking questions about where you're staying. I don't think they're done with you yet. After I hung up, Ivy and I sat in silence for a moment. They think they can break your lock, she said finally. Let them try. I stood up, feeling something hard and cold settle in my chest. They have no idea what they're up against. Gordon's law office looked like a funeral parlor when I drove past it the next morning. Through the tall windows, I could see the Howard family huddled around his mahogany conference table like vultures picking at roadkill. I parked across the street and called Alyssa. They've been in there for an hour, she whispered. I can hear Sonia's voice through the walls. She's not happy. What's she saying? Something about that manipulative witch and illegal lockouts. Harrison keeps interrupting with legal terms he clearly doesn't understand. I smiled grimly. And Willow? Oh, she's the best part. She keeps asking when she can move into the main house. Apparently, staying in Reed's old bedroom isn't good enough anymore. 20 minutes later, they emerged from the building. Even from across the street, I could see the tension in their body language. Sonia's face was stone. Harrison looked like he wanted to punch something, and Willow was gesturing wildly with her hands. My phone buzzed. Alyssa again. Gordon just called the office. He wants to see all of Reed's business files from the past 2 years. Everything. Did he say why? No, but his assistant looked stressed. Really stressed. That afternoon, I met Ivy at a coffee shop downtown. She'd been busy. Your friend Marcus is a genius, I said, scrolling through the screenshots she'd sent me. How did he hack into their email server so fast? He owes me a favor. Plus, he hates entitled rich people on principle. Ivy grinned. Look at this one from Sonia to Harrison. I read the email aloud. The lawyer says, we need to prove she manipulated Reed into changing the security protocols. Find anything that shows she coerced him. Anything. And Harrison's response? What about the prenup? Can we use that? I shook my head. They signed a prenup that protects both parties equally. Reed insisted on it because he said he never wanted money to come between us. Ironic. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Cynthia? The voice was tentative, nervous. This is Gordon. We need to talk. I put the call on speaker so Ivy could hear. About what, Gordon? About the situation with Reed's accounts. I've been asked to explore certain legal options, but I wanted to speak with you first. How thoughtful. What kind of legal options? There was a long pause. Sonia believes that Reed's current mental state gives the family grounds to challenge any recent changes to his financial arrangements. Recent changes? Gordon, those security protocols were established 6 months ago. Reed was perfectly competent when he set them up. I know. That's why I'm calling you. His voice dropped. Sonia is pushing me to file papers claiming you manipulated Reed while he was compromised. Compromised how? She's suggesting he was having mental health issues before the accident, that you took advantage of his vulnerable state. Ivy's eyes widened. I felt anger surge through my chest. That's complete bullshit, Gordon, and you know it. I do know it, which is why I'm warning you. She's planning to have Reed's medical records subpoenaed. She wants to build a case that he wasn't mentally competent to make financial decisions. Can she do that? It's complicated. If she can show a pattern of erratic behavior, combined with his current condition, he trailed off. You're not going to help her, are you? Another long pause. Cynthia, I've been the Howard family lawyer for 15 years, but I've also known you for 6. You're not the manipulative gold digger Sonia is painting you as? Then don't help her destroy me. It's not that simple. If I refuse, she'll find another lawyer, one who won't have any qualms about fabricating evidence. The line went quiet. Then Gordon spoke again, his voice barely above a whisper. There's something else. Willow came to see me yesterday. Alone. What did she want? She offered me money, a lot of money. She said if I could find a way to break your security lock, she'd make sure I was well compensated for my efforts. Did you take it? Of course not. But Cynthia, she knew things. Personal things about Reed's business dealings. Things she shouldn't know unless Reed told her everything. I finished the sentence, feeling sick. I'm sorry. I thought you should know what you're up against. After Gordon hung up, Ivy and I sat in stunned silence. They're going to try to frame you, she said finally. Let them try. I have something they don't. What's that? The truth. And 23 million reasons why they need me more than I need them. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We should talk. Just us girls. I know things about Reed's accident that might interest you. WBU? I showed the message to Ivy. Her face went pale. Cynthia, don't. It's obviously a trap. Maybe. Or maybe Willow was starting to realize that being on the losing side isn't as fun as she thought. I typed back, when and where? The response came immediately. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Riverside Park. Come alone. I looked at Ivy. Want to bet she's going to try to make a deal? I want to bet she's going to try to get you killed. Willow was already waiting when I arrived at Riverside Park, perched on a bench like she was posing for a magazine shoot. Designer sunglasses, perfectly blown out hair, and a smile that could cut glass. Cynthia, you came. She stood up, arms outstretched like we were old friends. I wasn't sure you would. What do you want, Willow? I stayed several feet away, my phone recording in my jacket pocket. Straight to business, I like that. She sat back down, patting the bench beside her. Sit, please. I'm fine standing. Suit yourself. Her smile faltered slightly. Look, I know we got off on the wrong foot at the hospital. Emotions were running high, you know, but I think we can help each other. Help each other how? You have something we need. We have something you want. Which is? Reed. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. He's been asking about you. My heart jumped, but I kept my expression neutral. What kind of questions? The bracelet thing. He keeps mentioning a silver bracelet. And yesterday, he asked Sonia who the woman was who knew about his coffee habits. Willow's eyes glittered. That was you, wasn't it? The coffee story you told at the hospital? What's your point? My point is that his memory is coming back. Slowly, but it's coming back. And when it does, she shrugged. Well, let's just say it might not be great for any of us. Any of us? Willow stood up, pacing in front of the bench. Cynthia, can I be honest with you? That would be a first. She laughed, but it sounded forced. Fair enough. Look, Reed and I, we had fun, but I'm not stupid. I know what this is really about. Enlighten me. Money. It's always about money with the Howards. She stopped pacing, facing me directly. Sonia promised me things. A life, a future, security. But now that the trust fund is locked up, now you're realizing you backed the wrong horse. I'm realizing that maybe we could work together instead of against each other. I almost laughed. Work together how? You unlock the trust fund. I make sure Reed's memory stays selective. You want me to give you millions of dollars in exchange for keeping my husband brain damaged? When you put it like that, it sounds terrible. Willow sat back down, her mask slipping completely. But think about it, Cynthia. Do you really want him to remember everything? The affair, the planning, the things he said about you? The words hit like a physical blow, but I kept my voice steady. What things? Oh, honey. Her voice was pure poison now. He told me everything, how you were suffocating him, how you controlled every aspect of his life, how he felt trapped in a marriage to someone who cared more about business than love. You're lying. Am I? Then why was he so eager to plan a new life without you? She pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages. Want to see the text where he talks about finally being free? Or the ones where he describes exactly how he was going to get you out of the business? I wanted to grab the phone and smash it, but I forced myself to stay calm. If Reed felt that way, why didn't he just ask for a divorce? Because you had your claws in everything. The business, the money, his family. He said you'd made yourself indispensable so he could never leave. Willow's smile was triumphant. But then the accident happened, and suddenly he had a clean slate. No memories of being trapped. No guilt about wanting out. And you swooped in to take advantage. I gave him what he wanted. Freedom. My phone buzzed. A text from Alyssa. Emergency. Reed just asked for you by name. Sonia is freaking out. Willow noticed my distraction. Everything okay? Just work stuff. I looked at her carefully. You said you know things about Reed's accident. What things? Her expression shifted, becoming calculating. That's my insurance policy. Information is power, right? What kind of information? The kind that could change everything. About why Reed was driving that night. About where he was going. She leaned closer. About who he was really planning to meet. He was meeting you. Was he? Her smile was enigmatic. Are you sure about that? Another text from Alyssa. He's asking about the woman with the silver bracelet again. Sonia just called Gordon. Something's happening. I looked at Willow, who was watching me with predatory interest. Here's my offer, she said. You unlock the trust fund. Split it 3 ways. You, me, and the family. Everyone gets what they want, and Reed gets to live in blissful ignorance. And if I refuse? Then I tell Sonia exactly what Reed was really doing the night of the accident. And trust me, it's not what anyone thinks. She stood up, smoothing down her dress. You have 24 hours to decide. Willow, she turned back. You're making a mistake if you think I'm going to be intimidated by some mystery about Reed's accident. Am I? She pulled out her phone again, showing me a photo. This was taken 3 hours before Reed crashed. Recognize the location? The photo showed Reed's car parked outside a building I knew well, my lawyer's office. Think about it, Cynthia. What was your loving husband doing at your divorce attorney's office the night he almost died? I drove straight to my lawyer's office after leaving Willow, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The photo kept flashing in my mind. Reed's car parked outside David's building 3 hours before the crash. David, I need to see you, now. Cynthia, what's wrong? Reed came to see you the night of his accident. Why didn't you tell me? Silence on the other end of the line. David, come up, we need to talk. David's office felt smaller than usual, the walls closing in as he poured 2 glasses of whiskey with shaking hands. He came to see me around 8 p.m., David said without preamble. He wanted to know about divorce proceedings, specifically how to protect assets during a separation. Protect assets from who? From you. David's voice was barely above a whisper. Cynthia, he knew about the security changes you'd made. He'd been monitoring the accounts. The whiskey burned going down. How long had he known? At least a week, maybe longer. David sat heavily in his chair. He was furious. Said you'd locked him out of his own money, his own business. He wanted to know if he could have you arrested for theft. What did you tell him? The truth. That since you were married and the accounts were joint, you had every legal right to change the security protocols. David rubbed his forehead, but he wasn't hearing it. He kept saying you trapped him, that you were trying to control him through money. My phone buzzed. Alyssa, I have to take this. I answered on speaker. What's happening? It's chaos here. Reed just had some kind of episode. He started asking for his keys, saying he needed to go somewhere important. When Sonia asked where, he said, to fix what I broke. David and I exchanged glances. Where is he now? I asked. Sonia sedated him. She called his doctor and told him Reed was having violent outbursts. They're talking about moving him to a psychiatric facility. She can't do that. She can if she gets a court order declaring him mentally incompetent. And Cynthia? Gordon just arrived with papers. The line went dead. We have to go, I told David. Now. Cynthia, wait. There's more. David's face was grave. Reed didn't just come here to ask about divorce proceedings. He brought something with him. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a manila envelope. He said if anything happened to him, I should give this to you. He was paranoid, kept looking over his shoulder, said he thought someone was following him. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside were bank statements, emails, and photos. Lots of photos. Jesus Christ. The photos showed Harrison meeting with men in expensive suits, briefcases changing hands. David, these look like money laundering, tax evasion, fraud. David nodded grimly. Reed had been investigating his own family's business dealings. He found out they'd been using the trust fund for illegal activities. I flipped through the emails. Harrison to unknown recipients. The transfer needs to happen before she figures out the real numbers. Sonia to someone named Victor. The family account can cover the shortfall, but we need to move fast. Reed was going to expose them, I whispered. More than that, he was going to turn them in. These documents were copies. He'd already sent the originals to the FBI. My phone rang. Ivy. Cynthia, where are you? Alyssa just called me in a panic. They're moving Reed tonight. Moving him where? Some private facility upstate. Sonia's already signed the papers. They're saying he's a danger to himself and others. On what grounds? Apparently he attacked a nurse. Tried to leave the hospital by force. Ivy's voice was tight with worry. But Cynthia, Alyssa was there. She says Reed wasn't violent. He was just confused, asking for you. I looked at David, who was reading over the documents with increasing alarm. There's something else, Ivy continued. Marcus intercepted a phone call between Sonia and someone called Victor. They're planning to liquidate assets tomorrow, all of them. They can't. The trust fund is locked. They're not going after the trust fund. They're going after the business accounts, the properties, everything else. They're going to strip everything and disappear. David looked up from the papers. Cynthia, these documents. If Reed really sent copies to the FBI, then Sonia and Harrison are facing serious prison time. Unless they can pin it all on Reed, I said, understanding flooding through me. A mentally incompetent man who can't defend himself, or on his manipulative wife who had access to all the accounts, David added grimly. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Stop digging, or Reed's condition gets worse. Much worse. A friend. I showed the message to David and Ivy, who had arrived while we were talking. They're threatening Reed, Ivy said. They're threatening all of us. I stood up, pacing to the window. But they made one mistake. What's that? They think I'm still playing defense. I turned back to them, feeling something cold and hard settle in my chest. Time to show them what offense looks like. I pulled out my phone and started typing. What are you doing? David asked. Sending a message to Sonia. I'm ready to make a deal. Cynthia, that's insane. You can't trust them. I'm not trusting them. I'm baiting them. I hit send and looked at my friends. They want to play dirty? Fine. But they're about to learn that I wrote the playbook. The response came immediately. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., our house, come alone, and bring the access codes. I smiled. Perfect. They just gave me exactly what I need, which is all of them in one room, desperate enough to make mistakes. The morning of the meeting, Ivy handed me a small device that looked like a pen, recording everything. Marcus upgraded it. It'll pick up conversations from across the room and upload directly to a secure server. What about the photos Marcus took last night? Already sent to 3 different news outlets and the FBI field office. If something happens to you, they'll be released automatically. Ivy grabbed my shoulders. Cynthia, you don't have to do this. We have enough evidence to... To what? Watch them disappear with whatever money they can grab while Reed rots in some facility? I shook my head. No. This ends today. The Howard house looked exactly the same as it had 6 years ago when Reed first brought me home to meet his family. Same pristine landscaping, same intimidating colonial facade, same feeling that I didn't belong there. Sonia answered the door herself, which should have been my first warning. Cynthia, right on time. Her smile was sharp enough to cut steel. Come in. We're all waiting for you. The living room was set up like a tribunal. Sonia in the center chair, Harrison to her right, Gordon looking uncomfortable with a briefcase full of papers, and Willow curled up on the couch like a cat who'd caught a mouse. Where's Reed? I asked. Safe, Sonia replied, which is more than I can say for you if you don't cooperate. Is that a threat? It's a reality check. Harrison leaned forward. You've been playing games with our family's money. That ends now. I sat down across from them, placing my purse carefully on the coffee table. What exactly do you want? The access codes to the trust fund, Sonia said. All of them. In exchange for what? In exchange for Reed's continued good health. Willow's voice was honey-sweet. Psychiatric facilities can be dangerous places. Patients have accidents all the time. Gordon shifted uncomfortably. That's not what we discussed. Shut up, Gordon. Harrison's voice was ice. You're here to make this legal, not to have opinions. I looked around the room, taking in their faces. Desperate, greedy, dangerous. Before I give you anything, I want to know what really happened the night of Reed's accident. Willow and Harrison exchanged glances. What do you mean? Sonia asked. Reed was at my lawyer's office that night. He had evidence of your illegal activities. Bank records, photos, emails. I watched their faces carefully. He was going to turn you in. The silence stretched for a long moment. Then Harrison started laughing. Turn us in for what? Managing family money? Money laundering, tax evasion, using the trust fund to cover illegal gambling debts. I pulled out copies of the documents Reed had left with David. Should I go on? Sonia's face went white. Where did you get those? Reed gave them to my lawyer before he died. Oh, wait. Before he had his convenient accident. You're fishing, Willow said, but her voice wavered. Am I? Then explain this. I showed them the photo of Harrison meeting with the men in suits. Who's Victor Harrison? And why were you giving him briefcases full of cash? Harrison lunged forward, but Sonia grabbed his arm. Sit down, she hissed. Then to me, what do you want? The truth, about the accident, about what you did to Reed. We didn't do anything to Reed, Sonia said. He crashed his car because he was drunk and stupid. He was drunk because you drugged him. The words came out before I'd fully formed the thought, but I saw the truth in their faces. You found out he was going to expose you, so you drugged him and sent him driving. Prove it, Harrison snarled. I don't have to. The FBI will. I stood up. Reed sent them copies of everything before he left David's office. They've been building a case for weeks. You're lying, Willow said, but she was backing toward the door. Am I? Then why did Agent Martinez call me this morning asking about the trust fund access codes? Gordon was frantically shuffling through his papers. If the FBI is involved, I can't be part of this. I'm leaving. No, you're not. Harrison moved to block the door. Nobody leaves until this is resolved. Harrison, let him go, Sonia said quietly. Gordon, you never saw those documents. You were never here. Understood? Gordon nodded rapidly and practically ran from the room. Now, Sonia turned back to me. Let's discuss terms. There are no terms. You're going to prison. Maybe. But Reed will be dead long before any trial. Sonia's mask finally slipped completely. Psychiatric patients commit suicide all the time, especially ones with traumatic brain injuries. You're talking about murdering your own son. I'm talking about protecting my family's legacy. She stood up, towering over me. Reed was always weak, too soft, too trusting. He would have destroyed everything our family built. By exposing your crimes, by choosing you over us. The venom in her voice was startling. You turned him against his own blood, made him think he was better than us. My phone buzzed. A text from Alyssa. Reed's awake. He's asking for you. Says he remembers something important. I showed them the message. Looks like your son is getting his memory back. Willow grabbed Harrison's arm. We need to go. Now. Nobody's going anywhere, Sonia said. Cynthia, you're going to call that facility and tell them Reed is having violent episodes, that he needs to be sedated indefinitely. And if I refuse, then you'll join him. Harrison pulled something from his jacket, a syringe. Same drug we gave Reed, except you won't be lucky enough to survive the crash. I looked at the three of them, seeing the desperation in their eyes. They'd already crossed every line. What was one more murder? All right, I said quietly. You win. I'll make the call. But as I reached for my phone, I smiled, because they'd just confessed to everything, and Marcus's little recording device had captured every word. Actually, I said, I have a better idea. Let's call Reed together. I think he'd love to hear from his family. I pulled out my phone and dialed the facility's number, putting it on speaker. Riverside Psychiatric Center. How can I help you? This is Cynthia Howard. I'd like to speak with my husband, Reed Howard, please. Harrison started to move toward me, but I held up my hand. One more step and I hang up and scream for the neighbors. One moment, please, the receptionist said. Sonia's face was stone. What are you doing? Giving Reed a chance to remember who he really is. The phone crackled. Cynthia? Reed's voice was weak but clear. Hi, baby. How are you feeling? Confused, but better, clearer. There was a pause. Cynthia, I keep having these flashes. Memories. The night of the accident. Harrison lunged for the phone, but I dodged him. What do you remember, Reed? I was at David's office. I had papers, evidence of something terrible. And then, his voice grew stronger. I remember going home. Mom was there with Harrison. They seemed upset about something. Sonia grabbed the phone from my hand. Reed, honey, you're confused. You need to rest. Mom? Reed's voice changed, became sharper. Why do you sound scared? I'm not scared, I'm concerned. You've been having episodes. Episodes? Reed's laugh was bitter. Is that what you're calling it? Mom, I remember now. I remember what you put in my drink. The room went dead silent. Reed, you're not well, Sonia started. I'm not well because you drugged me. His voice was getting stronger, angrier. You found out I was going to expose Harrison's money laundering, so you slipped something in my whiskey and sent me driving. Willow was backing toward the window now, her face pale. You tried to kill me, Reed continued, your own son, because I wouldn't let you destroy everything Dad built. Reed, listen to me. Sonia's voice was desperate now. No, you listen to me. I remember everything now. The gambling debts, the offshore accounts, the way you've been stealing from the trust fund for years. Reed's voice broke, and I remember what I said to Cynthia before I left that night. My heart stopped. What did you say? I called you. From David's office. I told you I was sorry that I'd figured out what was really going on. That the affair with Willow was just... God, Cynthia, I was so stupid. Reed, I was trying to make you jealous, to get your attention. You'd been so focused on work and I felt like I was losing you. So I started flirting with Willow, letting her think there was something there. Willow's face crumpled. That's not true. You said you loved me. I said what you wanted to hear because I thought it would get back to Cynthia. I never meant for it to go so far. Reed's voice was full of pain. But then I found out what my family was really doing, and I realized they were using my fake affair as cover for their crimes. Harrison grabbed the phone from Sonia. Reed, you're sick. You're making things up. Am I? Then explain the photos I took of you meeting with Victor's men. Explain the bank transfers I documented. Explain why you needed Cynthia out of the picture so badly. Because she was controlling you. Because she was the only one honest enough to ask questions about the missing money. Reed's voice was a roar now. She figured out the discrepancies in the accounts weeks before I did. That's why you needed her gone. I grabbed the phone back. Reed, where are you exactly? What room? Room 314. But Cynthia, they're coming. I can hear them in the hallway. Mom called them, told them I was having violent episodes. We're coming to get you. No, don't. It's not safe. They have people here. People who will... The line went dead. Sonia was smiling now. A cold, terrible smile. Too late. Reed won't be making any more phone calls. You're insane, I whispered. I'm practical. Reed knows too much, and so do you. Harrison was blocking the door again, the syringe still in his hand. This ends here, Cynthia. You're going to have a tragic accident, just like Reed was supposed to. Supposed to? You think we wanted him to survive the crash? Willow's voice was vicious now. He was supposed to die that night. Clean, simple, no witnesses. But he had to be wearing his seatbelt like the good little boy he always was. So you've been planning to finish the job ever since. We've been planning to clean up loose ends, Sonia corrected, starting with you. I looked around the room, calculating distances, exits, weapons. The recording pen in my purse was still running, capturing everything. But that wouldn't help me if I was dead. Before you kill me, I said, I have one question. What? Do you really think Reed was the only one who figured out your scheme? Sonia frowned. What do you mean? I smiled, pulling out my phone and showing them the screen. A text message to Agent Martinez, sent automatically 30 minutes ago. Recording in progress. If you don't hear from me by noon, execute the warrants. You see, Reed wasn't the only one who sent evidence to the FBI. And unlike Reed, I made sure to have a backup plan. The sound of sirens in the distance made them all freeze. You want the money? I stood up, walking to the window. Let's talk business. The sirens were getting closer, but Harrison still had the syringe, and Sonia was blocking my path to the door. You're bluffing, Sonia said, but her voice wavered. Am I? I held up my phone. Agent Martinez, you're on speaker. Did you get all that? Every word, Mrs. Howard. We're 2 minutes out. Harrison dropped the syringe like it was on fire. Willow was frantically trying to open the window. Sonia just stood there, her face a mask of rage and defeat. You destroyed our family, she whispered. No, Sonia. You did that all by yourself. The front door burst open. FBI agents flooded the room, weapons drawn. Sonia Howard, Harrison Howard, Willow Gonzalez, you're under arrest for conspiracy, money laundering, attempted murder, and fraud. As they cuffed Sonia, she looked at me one last time. This isn't over. Yes, it is. Agent Martinez approached me as they led the others away. We need you to come with us to the facility. Reed's been asking for you. The drive to Riverside Psychiatric felt like the longest 20 minutes of my life. When I finally reached room 314, Reed was sitting up in bed, looking more like himself than he had since the accident. Cynthia. His voice broke when he saw me. I'm so sorry. Reed. No, let me say this. I remember everything now. The fake affair, the way I hurt you, the stupid games I played because I was too proud to just talk to you. Tears were streaming down his face. I almost got us both killed because I was an idiot. I sat on the edge of his bed, taking his hand. You were trying to protect me. In the end, you were trying to do the right thing. I should have done the right thing from the beginning. I should have trusted you, talked to you, been honest about feeling neglected instead of, he gestured helplessly, instead of pretending to have an affair with a gold digger. Reed, about the trust fund, keep it locked. His voice was firm. All of it. I don't want a penny of that money until we figure out how much my family stole and pay it back. That could take years. Then it takes years. He squeezed my hand. Cynthia, I know I don't deserve it, but is there any chance? Can we try again? I looked at him, really looked at him. The man I'd fallen in love with was still there, underneath all the pain and confusion and family dysfunction. The security question, I said quietly. Do you remember the answer? You're my forever secret. He smiled through his tears. I meant it then, and I mean it now. Even after everything that's happened, especially after everything that's happened. He brought my hand to his lips. You saved my life, Cynthia. You saved both our lives. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in David's office again, but this time Reed was with me. The FBI recovered about $18 million, David said, sliding papers across his desk. The rest was lost in bad investments and gambling debts, but there's enough to restart. What about the criminal charges? Reed asked. Sonia and Harrison are looking at 15 to 20 years. Willow took a plea deal, 5 years in exchange for testifying against them. Reed nodded grimly. And Gordon? Disbarred, but no jail time. He cooperated fully once he realized how deep this went. I looked at Reed. So what now? Now we rebuild. The business, the trust, our marriage. He took my hand. If you'll have me. On one condition. Anything. No more games. No more secrets. If you're feeling neglected or unhappy or anything else, you talk to me. You don't manufacture drama to get my attention. Deal. He kissed my hand. And Cynthia? The next time you think I'm acting suspicious, don't lock me out of the accounts. Just ask me what's wrong. Deal. David cleared his throat. There's one more thing. The media has been calling. They want to interview you both about the case. No, Reed and I said simultaneously. We're done being public entertainment, I added. Let them write their stories. We have a life to rebuild. As we left David's office, Reed stopped on the sidewalk. Cynthia? Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. I looked at him, this man who'd hurt me and betrayed me and nearly destroyed everything we'd built together, but who had also, in the end, chosen truth over family loyalty and love over convenience. You're my forever secret too, I said. The good parts and the bad parts. All of it. He smiled, that crooked smile I'd fallen in love with all those years ago. So what do we do now? Now we go home, our real home, and we start over. Together. Together. They'll remember me now, but sometimes I wonder, was it worth it? Looking at Reed, seeing the man I married slowly coming back to himself, I think maybe it was. Revenge is a dish best served cold, but forgiveness? That's the meal that actually fills you up.